Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming back. If you returning, or welcome if you are new to the videos. Here we have a battle report from a tournament day for Age of Fantasy Regiments, and I'm not alone today. I got some help, and who am I here with?
Hi, my name's Warner McQueen. I'm part of the Age of Fantasy Regiments tournament committee. That Nathan was more than kind enough to have me on to sort of talk about what happened at the tournament and talk about the scene and uh, I guess to an extent the meta, which is a lot of fun, and
Hmm.
just sort of break down what happened and what we thought.
Excellent, absolutely right, and especially the meta because I love changing my lists all the time. I have way too many lists, but we'll eventually get into the lists here pretty soon. So yes, oh shoot. There we go. So yeah, it's a tournament battle day. Here's a lovely model from our guest speaker Warner. But we
Thank you.
have a tournament that was just recently in June. So here is same like the last video. We're not going to go over all the rules um, bit by bit. But if we're just going to pause the screen here, and if I might please have you explain the two arrows for the two adjusted rules.
Yeah, so one of the nice things about having a tournament committee is they were constantly looking at the rules and trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what needs to change, what really needs some buffs and some TLC. And so the last big change that we made was to a morale test rules. Morale in this game is really, it can be really backbreaking, and it really ends up kind of hurting when you have a big brick of stuff that just evaporates. So we changed how morale tests work. Normally, you would only roll 1d6, but now we've added that for every complete rank, you're going to roll an additional 6.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we noticed at tournament after tournament after tournament is that those 20-man bricks of core infantry really just weren't performing because they would run into a monster, get annihilated, and then
Mm-hmm.
so this additional rule, giving them extra dice, really pays dividends. And let me tell you, I felt it all day long. It worked for me,
Mm-hmm.
and it definitely worked against me as well. And I thought it made the game a lot, I don't know, a lot quicker, and it really made stuff feel a little
Yep.
bit real, and it gave those 20-man bricks something to do. And then the
Absolutely.
change to Shaken is really small. It, it, it was something that didn't really come up a lot, but we made it so that way in the event that you have some friends that manage to free you from combat for whatever reason, you're just no longer shaken. And that's designed really to give you that flexibility to just let you, hey, my buddies showed up, they saved the day. Okay, we're going to take a moment, collect ourselves, and get
Absolutely. I like the change of the rule, especially going back to the morale test. As you mentioned, it really incentivizes to take these large 20 model units, just like cheap barbarians or
Yeah,
cheap humans, whatever. And yes, they die really quickly. They don't hit very well, but it really incentivizes to bring these big blocks and hold down the opponent.
absolutely.
And so here's the bottom part of the first page of rules, and it's all the movements and actions, advances, charges, and so on. Would you like to add anything, Ward?
Yeah, the first four actions there, and with the sort of combat action, it's basically just a pivot. So just basically just a hold with special privileges. These first four actions are literally pulled directly from the core rules of Age of Fantasy Regiments proper. We might have changed a couple of words, but like nothing crazy. It's really the reactions in this game that make that difference. So if your unit hasn't activated yet, it can take one of these reactions. There are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of special rules in this game that really care about charging. So I'm looking at Furious, I'm looking at Impact, um, I'm looking at the Havoc Mount special rule for the Havoc Warriors. There's just a bunch of them sort of scattered throughout the game. Adding in that countercharge lets those special rules breathe, lets them feel more realistic.
Yep.
You, we only really saw countercharge in the old world, in the Warhammer Fantasy, really with the old world. So it's a sort of a newish thing, and it really adds that tactical flexibility because do I want to countercharge, but then I can't cast spells,
Mm-hmm.
or do I want to Do I want to not countercharge, get to cast my spells, but I don't get all my cool special rules? Sometimes that's easy, sometimes that's less easy. But it's a fun decision that you get to make. It's all about giving agency back to both players and really having that I go, you go feeling really means.
Absolutely. And that's the first thing I noticed from playing previous games and getting into this through Warner and the gang is the counter charge. It's okay, sounds good. Oh, you can counter charge, you get whatever. But a lot of the army abilities, as we mentioned, depend, I wouldn't say depend, but benefit greatly from the counter charge movement because you don't feel left out. Like, oh, it's not my turn anymore. I'm just gonna get charged from cavalry and lose the game. No, you can counter charge, so it's never you're never on the back foot with that, and that's the
No,
biggest thing. I love that. But we'll get
absolutely.
into the rest of the rules. So if that's okay, I'll just let you speak about the rules.
Yeah, a lot of the terrain effects are literally just pulled straight from the official Age of Fantasy Regiment sort of base rules. Obviously, we've included them in here just for that sense of completeness.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Terrain types, you know, terrain effects, they're really simple and really straightforward. When we set up tournaments, we always make sure that we have symmetrical tables, and we always make sure that every table is the same. Now that kind of feels a little samey, but there are a couple of armies in this game. Looking at you, Wood Elves, that really benefit from terrain. So you got to have some, but you can't have too much. Coming from something like 40k or
Yeah.
Infinity, where you have terrain everywhere, these are battles that are replicating a period in history where you would go out of your way to go to a wide open so you could see what is going
Right.
on. And the more sparse terrain and the more simple terrain rules really reflect that. That being said, they are simple, but they're still impactful. That difficult terrain movement double cost, woof,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
really adds up. And those units that get to be more terrain suddenly become that much more interesting.
Yeah.
And then the tournament balance side, there's nothing really crazy there. It's just like lots of little logic things. The only thing that is really different is the banner that makes you have a minimum of 5+ morale. We're going to cover why that's super important in a little bit, but just keep that in mind that banners are worth their weight in gold.
Absolutely. You'd be a fool not to take it in every unit, which sometimes I don't do it
Absolutely.
because I'm a fool because I like to conserve points, but that's neither here nor there. So for the next
Difficult
part,
choices.
yeah, exactly. Especially if it's plus 5 points or plus 10 points. But
Oh,
here is the last part. We'll just leave it on the screen here, and then we'll continue the next one. But obviously, it's a rank and flank game, so it's you got fronts and backs and rears, so on. And then here's the tournament list, or kind of just the deployment and battle scenario list here. The deployments on the very top, it changes per tournament day or what kind of event you have, but in general, deployments are quite simple: 12 up and 12 away from the center, and there could be a few curveballs thrown in there with different types of deployments or when you can deploy and when you can activate. And on the very bottom there, secondary objectives, as we mentioned earlier in the original game, it has different objectives that you can roll for, but in here it's solid, where you just roll a d6 and you get to choose one randomly. And then
absolutely.
the next part here is, as we mentioned before, all the main differences. We're just gonna leave this up on the screen, and you can read it if you like. Would you like to input anything, Warner, or can we continue?
Uh, the one thing that I really like about this about our version is really when it comes down to those objectives.
Right.
I I'm playing this game to command an army and you know
Mm-hmm.
destroy your army.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah.
because my guys weren't in the right places shouldn't mean I lose the game.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you.
Uh, the whole point is this is the decisive climactic battle. When the dust settles, it's whatever army is left, and yeah, sure, securing a couple of objectives might make a difference, but this is just kill or be killed. And so we brought it back to that classic Warhammer Fantasy feel.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It makes me feel like a kid.
Very good. I agree with you. All right, and here is what I like to see some most of the time. Yeah, the tournament lists, and may we please have Warner begin off with his own list.
Yeah, so this army list was designed as sort of a pet project. A long time ago in the pre-COVID days, I played a little bit of Hordes. So if anyone is familiar with that, it's the sister game of War Machine. And there was a faction, Circle Orboros, and their big thing was you had cool werewolves, cool like goat satyr things, you had druids and stuff, and they had a bunch of like golem constructs. And I thought the werewolves were super cool. I really loved. I'm a sucker for werewolves to begin with. And so I bought a bunch of werewolf stuff and I sat down to play the game. And it turns out that I really should have bought the stone golem guys because that's what was actually good. And so they just sat in a box and collected dust. And then finally, one day, I was taking a look at this game and I thought to myself, you know what? I have the tools to make a werewolf army. I just need to buy a couple more things. And a few Facebook Marketplace purchases later, I have my dream werewolf army and I absolutely love it. So the other thing that's great about this game is that flexibility. So this is actually 3 armies in one. So we've got the Duchies of Vinci. They're represented by the City Guard. So 2 units of City Guard. These are just guys with crossbows. They're not. If they shoot and kill something, that's great. The Vinci Tech special rule: whenever they go to shoot at something over 9 inches away, they can either get +1 to hit, which is literally what I picked the whole tournament long, or they can get +1 AP. They also get this if they charge from over 9 inches away, which I don't think ever can. The real reason why they're in the unit is for that precision spotter ability, which literally lets me designate a unit, and on a 4-up, I put a marker on it, and in a later turn, another unit can burn that marker to get +1 to hit. And that was, I saw that and went, oh, hell yeah.
Very good, yes.
Very good. And then we got our 3 units of Drake Centaurs joined by Havoc Masters. The logic was, if it's good once, it's good twice. If it's good twice, it's good 3 times. So the units are functionally identical. The only difference is that on one of the units, the board didn't have quite as good of a melee weapon. That somehow did not come up throughout the entire game as being a deciding factor. The werewolves themselves are Drake Centaurs. Sorry, I'm going to call them werewolves the whole time around because it's what I use for the models, because this is a model agnostic game and you can use whatever you want. So my Drake Centaurs normally hit on 4s, but once again, with that precision spotter thing, they're suddenly hitting on 3s, which is lovely. And then the Havoc Masters, aka the Chaos Lords, legally distinct, have the unpredictable fighter aura. Whenever they go to fight, you roll a die. On a 1, 2, or a 3, you get +1 AP. Never bad. And on a 4, 5, or 6, you get +1 to hit, which is always good. And just being able to put out 24 attacks that hit on 2s is insane. 24 attacks that hit on 2s with AP2 is even better. But you'll notice that a lot of these guys have a special rule called Havoc Bound, which is the army-wide special rule for the Havoc Warriors, and that basically means that you charge, cool, +1 AP. So that was the core of the army, and I realized I needed a little bit more support, and I had about 500 points left to play around with. So we added in 2 units of the Nidoli Elites. These are from the Beastmen book, and these are just Bestigors. They're 3s and 3s, so hitting on 3s, saving on 3s, which is absolutely fantastic. AP1, great. They also have Melee Slayer. This is another one of those special rules that when you charge, does something, and this is whenever you charge a unit where most models have tough 3 or higher, you get +2 AP on all of your attacks. So those AP1s are now going to AP3s, and that's hitting like a max charge. And then lastly, the absolute MVP of the tournament, I'd have been up the creek without a paddle, without her, was our Wethenny Huntmaster, which I use as a druidess. For you Circle fans, this was played by Tana, and I totally painted her up to look like my girlfriend. So a little shout out there. She was a level 3 caster, and the Beastmen have a shockingly good spell list. A little bit of support, a little bit of damage, but the most important thing is a level 3 spell, so it takes 3 tokens to cast. That gives 3 units regeneration the next time they take damage. And that was the spell that kept me in the game for almost all of my games. So this was a battle-tested list that was lean, mean, and it hit like a Mack truck, and it was reliable. And that's really what I designed it to do. I wanted it to do something, and then I wanted it to keep doing that thing every single time.
I totally agree. And playing against you in non-tournament games, I felt the pain. Didn't expect it. I'm like, oh, see these werewolves, but I totally agree. Getting quote unquote free AP, free +1 to hit, and regeneration saves. It just makes every single one of these Drake Centaur Wolfmen units. It just feels like heroes, or every single one of them is a lord by themselves.
Yeah,
So it's very
and
devastating.
you're just throwing good money into bad.
Absolutely, yeah. Even something that's designed to take them down will go down swinging as they're doing that. But no, I love it. I love the Havoc bound. I love all that good stuff. So the next list here we have a Ratman, and take it away.
Oh
Mark.
my god.
You don't have, yeah. Maybe
Okay.
maybe I'll take this one in just in case because you're having a tough time. But no, I feel the
No. This list was brilliant. It's one of those lists where you look at it and you're like, okay, it's cool, but then you actually see it played on the tabletop against you, and you're sitting there like, what just happened? I just got hit by a freight train. This was my closest game of the day. It was brutal. By the time the dust settled, there really wasn't a lot left standing. We've got 2 level 3 casters with a terrifyingly damaging spell list.
Oh yes.
We got those 2 20-man bricks, and like we talked about, they just got buffed. So they're rolling a bunch of dice and they're not going anywhere for morale. The Rat Ogres is such a nasty unit with the precision fighter aura, meaning that unit's always hitting on 3s. At AP2, I mean, it's just dump it attacks. And then Furious is a great special rule for them as well. Whenever they roll a 6 after they charge, that 6 counts as 2 hits. So it just hits and then hits harder and harder and harder. The Blessed Platform is just handing out debuffs, so -1 save basically whenever it can. The Great Death Roller is just it's a heat-seeking missile. It's going to hit something and then it's going to die a horrible thing. But the keen-eyed of you will notice I didn't mention the weapons teams, the Grenadiers, or the artillery, and that's because it shot everything it possibly could. The Grenadiers and the weapons teams firing indirect, you're shooting into combat every single turn. And so you're taking models out of the fight before they can even fight. This was the one game where I was on the back foot, I felt like, from the very beginning, and the fact that I won was down to some dumb luck here and there, and down to one unit just overperforming. My God, it was wild.
Yep, I totally agree. With the weapons teams and the Grenadiers, and especially the artillery, you kind of hide in the back. They're all right. I'll deal with them later. But the second you look away, the guys that you have to deal with them are in the dust. So I got a game against them for the second battle, and especially the weapons teams, they paid for themselves, or the Grenadiers as well. But
oh my God,
you mentioned that you won against them. How'd that turn out?
So it was the only game where I had to change my battle plan. Normally, when I play this army, I want stuff to come to me because I know that I have the buffs, I have the time, I have the tech, that I can set it up so it's never really a fair fight for me.
Yep.
That didn't work.
Not for
because
a second.
that normally would have got it for a second. Because normally I'm like, oh, I'm going to hide behind the hill that's in the middle of the battlefield. Oh, no, I'm getting shot. Okay, cool. I'm going to try to get into a fight. You can't get me. Oh, no, you can shoot me wherever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I turn one, I was sitting there and I'm like, I have one choice, and it's to go all in with a capital.
Mm-hmm.
It also doesn't help that Bane is everywhere in this army list.
Yeah.
Bane turns off regeneration. Rending is everywhere in this army list. Rending turns off regeneration. So
Mm-hmm.
my big plan to just, oh, I'm gonna get regeneration and just ignore all the damage they're doing. No, that's not an option anymore. Um, and it hurt. I am just picking up models, and so my caster basically was like, all right, we're not going to cast our regeneration spell. We're just going to go hero hunting.
Yep.
And she spent the whole game sniping wizards or just like
Jeez.
throwing damage out wherever she could
Yeah.
because she didn't have a choice. It was just kill or be killed.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of fun. It was a great puzzle to have to solve.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of moments where I'm sitting there thinking, I'm going to lose this game
Mm-hmm.
really, really.
There you go. Well, I'm glad you had fun.
I,
Well, when you won, eventually you had fun. There you go. But so here's my list. The Red Reavers, which are the giant tribe war disciples and the war disciples. To put it in more commonly known Warhammer terms, war disciples would be like Khorne warriors of chaos, and the giant tribes would just be the tribes of just giants. And then you can dedicate them to like Nurgle, Khorne, so on. But this time I just chose Khorne, so it's pretty much just like a whole Khorne-esque Chaos Warrior army, and also you get to name your units just helps me out with memory. So yeah, let's begin. So on the very top, it's Archeon on Dorgor, so pretty much my lord on his horse, and he's my level 3 caster, and so although Khorne doesn't usually have spells, let's just call them army abilities, and they're pretty good. You get mostly, if not all, combat buffs and shooting spells, but there is one debuff. Can't remember what it's called, but it imbues fatigue onto the opponent.
ooh,
And fatigue is not something that comes up very commonly, but long story short, if you become fatigued after failing a discipline test, then you can only hit on 6 pluses, um, which is very very devastating,
brutal.
absolutely brutal against like rat ogres or anything that's really designed to hit. And so I mentioned rat ogres because spoiler alert, it may have saved my butt once or twice. Um, so that's my lord on a horse, and then I have 2 units of war gore reavers, and these would be like beastmen, um, just the basic beastmen. As you can see, that they have a quality of 5+ and a defense of 5+, so just think they're like common troops, but they're beastmen. So corn gores, but not as strong. But they come with grow weapons, so AP2 is not bad. And they have the Warbound ability. Everybody has the Warbound ability, which means if my opponent rolls a 1 to defend against themselves or against my attacks, for every 1 they roll, it counts as 2 hits. And the Bloodthirsty Fighter rule, which I just wanted to give it a try, was that on top of the 1 extra hit that they roll, if they roll a 1, I also get to swing 1 additional time. So it sounds pretty good. On a 5+ to hit unit, not the best, but it's just for fun. I wanted to give it a try. Next, I have my big guy, which is the only giant in this army, is Scarbrand. I picked, as you mentioned before, I got a little Facebook Marketplace purchase, and I wanted to give it a try. A 3D printed Scarbrand, and he is big and he is nasty. He's got 24 wounds, which in a 2,000 point game is, if I believe, is the highest you can have. And the
Yeah.
rule of 24 is he's also got 24 attacks in total. 8 from the stomps, 12 from his sword, and 8 again from his axe. So it's big and nasty. He only hits on a 4+ though, which all all other giants do. So it's 50-50 chance to hit. But what he does is pretty nasty. And he's got Fear 4, so Fear counts as if you're always doing X amount of wounds, so it's like a static positive. And he's also got Regeneration, which, again, spoiler alert, against the rats, it didn't come into play at all. So it
Just
saved my
do
butt.
nothing.
Exactly. It saved my butt in the first game, but I was burning. I was just wasting points in the second game. Um, and then my other Archeon on foot, he is not the Archeon we know. He's just a basic Marauder hero, but he is in a unit of Bestigors, which I guess in this case would be Corn Gores, and they're the
Yeah.
proper ones. There's a big guy with an axe, and then the rest of them have dual hand weapons. Um, and so the Archeon that joins the unit gives them unpredictable fighter, similar to Warner's list. Um, in the unit that's not as reliable per se, but I just wanted to give it a try. Plus, I have the model, so I wanted to have some fun with it. Um, and the Bestigors, in addition to that bloodthirsty fighter rule, have piercing assault, which means that they charge. They always get a +1 AP. Pretty similar to Havoc Bound, but but for Corn instead. And then to wrap up the list, we have 2 units of War Havoc Hounds, so it's just War Dogs. That's Scout, so they can go a little further during deployment, and they're just quick and easy to get around the corner. And then lastly, the big dog, Karanak. He's just a bigger version, just for fun, and he's got Furious, as we mentioned before, and more Rending Claws. And so my
Bark,
thought with
bark.
this list, I always love painting the dogs, but the point for the list was to one, obviously try out the models I have, just because I always like to use fun models. Two, to give giants a try. I always love having those big centerpiece characters. In this case, obviously it's Scarbrand, so he's more of a demon than a giant, of course, but that's where the flexibility of Age of Fantasy Regiments comes in, where obviously he's a demon, but he's also a giant, or he could also be this a giant like Feldrick Ancestor, or so on, like a big dragon guy. And so I just want to give the giants a try, and also you can dedicate it to war, like Warbound, like Corn. So I wanted to give that a try. And the third reason was, I guess there's four. So number three would be to maybe not have too much AP besides Scarbrand, because I can't change his AP, but to try to overwhelm my opponent with amount of attacks so that I could potentially proc the Warbound ability, where if my opponent rolls 1, then obviously it's a natural fail, but it also doubles as my Warbound ability, so I get extra wounds instead. Even though my AP would not be very high for most of my guys, I could sneak in some wounds. That sounds a lot like Skaven, but I promise you I'm not that low. And then the last reason was to give the Beastmen, or I guess Gores, a try. You'll see later that I do use my Marauder models, but again, it's flexibility. Um, and they're pretty much the same. Gores would be more hard hitting, I suppose, still with the 5+5+, in comparison to, I think they're called barbarians in this game, where they also scout, so they can get into combat, or they can choose their fights a lot more reliably, but they're not as strong, obviously, and so on. So yeah, I just wanted to give that a try. And then the next list here, we have vampires. Take it away, Warner.
Oh, vampires. I love vampire counts, and this army really showcases a lot of the strengths of the vampire counts. So, a little bit of background, I think, that is really going to explain a lot of this. This army was given to someone who was like, "Hey, I want to play the game. I don't have models. Can one of you guys hook me up?" And one of our other TOs was like, "Yep." Handed him a vampire counts army. So it was designed to be an army that was really easy to pick up. Not a lot of tactical flexibility, not a lot of tactical complexity, and the guy piloted it masterfully. So we've got 2 identical units of drained leaders with skeleton guard. So those skeleton guard with the cursed swords and disintegrate. Disintegrate is a nasty special. So if you're up against something with a 3+ or a 2+ save, you get +2 AP. Oh, and you ignore regeneration, which is super fun to play against when all you want to do is give your big werewolf bricks regeneration.
Of course.
It is a nasty list. Vampire counts have a great spell list as well, with a lot of really strong flexibility. There's a teleport spell for a little extra mobility. There are a couple damage spells, which are always great. And so having 2 level 3 casters is really going to give you that opportunity to sort of do what you need to do, uh, because you have such a toolbox of options. You can teleport, you can maybe try to move other units around, you can improve your cursed undead. So cursed undead is the thing that keeps this army together, and it's basically like a 6+ accuracy that can't be negated by anything. So Bane turns off regeneration, cool. It doesn't turn off cursed undead.
Mm.
And so the whole army has whatever save it normally has, plus half the stuff has regeneration. And then on top of that, you've got this cursed undead that is critical. What's even more critical is when you slap it on a unit of vampire knights. And blood knights or vampire knights have always been one of the best things in this game. And they really show up. So we've got a full nasty brick of 10, uh, heavy lances on the charge with thrust. You were getting 10 attacks that hit on twos through your impact, and then you're getting 10 attacks that hit on twos with AP2 and then 6 explode. So that's the math basically says that's about 10 guaranteed AP2 hits. That's going to hit like a max drop.
Mm-hmm.
But then, oh, wait, there's more because we've also given the unit the Cursed Undead boost. So now they have a 3-up save naturally, and then a 5-up word, Cursed Undead, whatever you want to call that after save
Jeez.
thing, giving them that extra survivability. Let's take that to the logical conclusion with our dear friend the ghouls. So we've got regeneration, we've got Cursed Undead, and then we've got our 5-up save. Now that 5-up save is going to get turned to a 6-up save because anything with AP is just going to blow through, right?
Yeah.
But a 6-up into a 5-up into a 6-up, that is going to so that's really keeping you. So I charged a full unit of werewolves in there. I didn't take a lot of damage back, but I didn't do a lot of damage in return. Like I got a lot of hits, and I think I only picked up 3 models. I only did 9 wounds. But instead of there being like, what? I'm used to just blowing through stuff.
Yeah.
And plus they have Strider, plus their claws have Banes. I mean, it's a really good unit. 310's a little pricey, but 310 is probably worth it. I think if you really get down to the math on the 5-up save with regen and with Curse Undead, I'm sure it comes out. I'm sure it definitely comes out. And then last but certainly not least are 2 zombie dragons. They can get some work done. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a vampire master on a zombie dragon was one of the meta-defining staples in the previous edition of the game. We're in 3.5. In 3.0, vampire lord on a zombie dragon is just terrifying. So even just 2 of these guys flying around on their own. I mean, sure, we've only got the 4-up. But you got a bunch of attacks, you got your breath weapon, and then you got those 3 saves again. But as opposed to starting at a 5-up naturally, you're starting at a 3-up. They put in some work over the
Mm-hmm.
weekend, and they actually they were able to keep me from getting that secondary objective in the last game because they just chewed through a couple werewolves and then just refused to die.
Yeah. Goodness. No, and I mean,
Goodness
they looked
indeed.
fantastic too. Come again, sorry?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Like we had so many painted armies this
Yep.
weekend, and everything just looked beautiful.
Everything looked top notch, which was refreshing too. Because I
Oh,
certainly have enough gray models in my shelf, so it's good to see some paint ones. But
can't say anything.
yeah, exactly. Let's continue with the next one. I'll take the next one here because I became very familiar with it whilst during the day. Is the Chivalrous Kingdoms and the Human Empire together, which would be the Bretonnian armies and the just the Empire. But especially it's a Kislev themed. So I mean, we'll get to it soon, but it just looks 10 out of 10, and it almost feels as if Kislev was its own faction in the game. But to go over it we begin with a battle master, which was used mainly for its precision fighting mark ability. It's not really a spell, but it's just a mark that you can give to the opponent once per turn, and it makes the opponent or so yeah, you put marks onto the opponents, and obviously you put buffs onto your own, and auras affect your own unit. And so the mark is when you give it to an enemy, the next time a friendly unit would fight that enemy, they have +1 to hit. And so that's just amazing. And it's only 65 points. They're +1 to hit. It's I take it every time. I take 2. Next, we have a champion, which is from the Human Empire, joined to a unit of 20 men at arms, which is from the Chivalrous Kingdom, and 20 men at arms again with a 5+5+. You'll see a lot of the rank and file units just have a 5+. Just consider them like the human level or just the basic infantry level. But again, they come with halberds, which is nasty. Yeah, sure, they have 1 attack each. Again, there's 20 of them. But they ignore regeneration entirely, so that eliminates a lot of the big monsters' defenses or zombies and wolfmen. But also, when you roll a 6 to hit with rending, it counts as +4 AP. So quickly, if you hit the side of them, or you try to go right through them with your big monster or your cavalry, if they get some lucky 6s, your knights and monsters are going to take a beating. And the champion that's joined with them has the regeneration aura, and it seems, now that I think about it, it seems like almost every single faction has regeneration. But most, if not all, the characters in this here army give out regeneration. So again, it's just a 5+ special save or after save. Then we have a duplicate of the unit. And then the middle here, we have a champion who's attached to the Grail Knights from the Chivalrous Kingdoms. And the Grail Knights are very nasty. By themselves, they can be a little susceptible to just little chips and shots here. But when combined with the other marks and regeneration aura, as I mentioned, they just become a moving train. So the character, again, joined to them, has just regeneration aura. That's pretty much the only reason they're there. But the Grail Knights themselves are obviously cavalry. They have heavy impact, so contrary to regular impacts where they all hit on 2+, but regular impacts don't have any AP at all. Heavy impact, which seems almost only like a Chivalrous Kingdom things. I know something here has it here and there. They have impact AP1, so essentially 10 free attacks that are hitting on 2+ all the time with AP1. That's just, you can cut right through a unit of footmen, and which they do eventually. I'll show you later. But they also have heavy lances, so 1 attack each, AP1 and thrust. So thrust gives you +1 to hit on the charge, and also +1 AP. And later on, we'll see how this combination of all these regeneration auras and precision marks and so on all worked out just well together. And just below that, we have a duplicate as well. Although it does say precision fighting mark, the user of this list thought it was another regeneration aura, so we just played it as regeneration aura. But yeah, it's just a duplicate of the list. Down here, Pegasus Knights are deceptively just tanks. Deceptively tanks. Yes, they have a 4+4+, but they are fearless. I guess a lot of these Chivalrous Kingdoms are fearless. So fearless means when you fail a discipline test, you can try one more time. On a 4+, you pass it. So it's sort of like a discipline ward save. And then they also have heavy impact, but heavy impact 2, so they have 2 impacts each at AP1. And then the Pegasus themselves have 1 attack each at AP1, and again the riders have heavy lances with thrust as well. So they're very, very strong. They fly, they're fast as well, so they can get around you pretty quickly. And then one of the cheapest, but also by far the most devastating unit in the entire list is at the very bottom here, the Grail Relic. This thing just made me pull my hair out when I was playing against it. Defensively, it's just a wet piece of paper, but when he's not in combat, it just dishes out these buffs, and it's an annoyance. It gives out the Furious buff. This is all once per turn, by the way. The Furious buff, it gives out a better morale courage buff, and lastly, the Surge mark. So the combination of the Furious and the Surge is that the Furious is when you are rolling to hit on a charge and you roll a 6, it counts as 2 hits. The Surge means when you're rolling to hit, even if you're charging or not, you're rolling to hit and you roll a 6, it counts as another hit. So if everything works out, that's 2 extra hits on a random 6. And these attacks would usually come from the Grail Knights or the Pegasus Knights, who are already hitting pretty easily and have AP like there's no tomorrow. And so it's just like a cumulative a pyramid scheme, let's call it, but not in the negative way, of just devastating hits, especially if you put it on the big giant Scarbrand guy, which I mean happened all the damn time. Do you have anything you'd like to input about this beautiful army?
Yeah, I helped Bob design it,
Oh
and
yes,
the
yes.
Grail Relic is the single most undercosted thing in the game. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
gonna say that now. I think it might be the best support piece I've ever seen.
Really?
Just because it does everything the Chivalrous Kingdom needs to do in
Yeah.
for 105.
105.
I think
That's
if
ridiculous.
that's ridiculous. I feel like there is an iteration of this list where there's 2 of them, and we don't have any friends anymore.
Exactly. Now you're playing the wrong game.
It's mulched everything.
Yeah.
Ah, love it.
It's practically like a lord. Like just for example, the battle master at top, 65 points. Yes, it has a pistol, but unfortunately, the user forgot it had a pistol. But at the precision fighting mark is just +1 to hit. The furious buff, the courage buff, and the surge mark. Yes, okay, the +1 courage, it's okay, but even if it didn't have that, the furious and the surge, don't even take any heroes. Like maybe take one, just rinky dinky one, but just take 2 or 3 of the Grail Relics. Yes, I know you mentioned you wouldn't be invited to any house parties or anything or any tournaments, but like it's just you just need one hero and a Grail Relic, and that's all you need. No caster. Actually, yeah,
Oh,
there's no magic in this army, but it's just all these marks and so on. But
yeah.
but no,
And
it's beautiful.
it's beautiful. It is beautiful.
And last but not least, we have the Rift Demons of Plague. Please take it away.
Ah, so this was a buddy of mine. We ended up meeting an extra player for the tournament. He was able to come out. So thanks again, Mike. You really saved our bacon. This is a super low model count list.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to say it. I mean, this is
5 units.
all of what? 5 units and 1, 2, 12, 18. That's 22 models, and it is terrifying.
Mm.
So the Avatar of Plague, totally not a great unclean one. What are you talking about? It's got 18 wounds. It's got Plague Bound, which is everything that we loved about Cursed Undead. It's back, but in Nurgle form.
Mm.
So Fear 3, it's just a bunch of attacks, Bane all over the place, Surge that we talked about being great on the Infected Sword. And Storm of Plague is also like a little spray attack you can do every turn. It's just nasty. We've got our Champion of Plague with Fortified Growth. This was the
What
thing
is
that
fortified
kept
growth?
him. Yeah, it's really weird because that is the question I had 4 times, and Mike was talking about it, and he's like, "Oh, I found this cool thing." Well, what is it?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read it right now because it's just so cool.
Mm-hmm.
If all models in this unit have this rule, which if you take a look at, they all do,
Yeah.
because the champion has it and the unit has it. Place 1 marker on it at the beginning of each round. If it's on the table and isn't shaking, up to a max of 4 markers. It's also worth noting they don't lose the markers; these just keep building.
Okay.
For every 2 markers, enemies attacking this unit get AP -1 to a minimum of 0.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's pretty
So
good.
turn one you're vulnerable. Turn two you're at AP minus. All your APs drop by one. Turn three AP, but turn four onwards,
Mm-hmm.
these aren't going anywhere. You just got to bury them in dice.
Yeah.
And it was nasty. This is a kill this right now or else. We got our Nurglings. I mean, the scout moves are great. This is a slower army anyway, so some scouts are awesome. Plague Fly Riders. Oh my god, look, it's fortified growth again.
Mm-hmm.
And monstrous cavalry in this game tends not to be very good. The Pegasus Knights certainly have proven me wrong a little bit on that. But the Plague Fly Riders, I feel like we need because it's 4 attacks right there. Sure, only 3 of them have
Yeah.
AP, but it's AP and Bane. Oh, and
Right.
it's got Strider. Like it's just nasty.
Mm-hmm.
It is just nasty. It's 175 points base, and you give it full command. Woof! And then on top of that, we've got this Soul Demon of Plague. So this is just like your Soul Grinder. The only thing that's not great about this guy is the fact that he's hitting on 3s. But it's
Yeah.
it's a 2 Titan list, and it basically reads it's a great tournament list because basically you have if you can manage to keep these 2 models on the table at the end of the game, and with 18 wins apiece, that's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that right there is almost 1,400 points. That's sticking around. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to make the math at the end of the game to determine who's killed the most really swing in your favor.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And for his first tournament list, woof, that was nasty.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. No, actually, I never considered that. I play my lists to kill the opponent, not for the secondary objectives or surviving afterwards. But now that you mention it, that is almost 1,400 points. That's almost 3/4 of your army that could potentially just stay alive. And
Yeah.
they like let's say for example the Avatar Plague has 1 wound left of the game. Well, he's still alive, so you get to keep all your points when you're calculating it. Which is just devastating. Once you get down to 2 or 3, it's like you gotta push for it. But by the time you get it down to 2 or 3, it's already turn 5 or 6 and it's over.
Yeah.
So there you go. Thank you for that. Next, we'll go into some of the pictures right before we get into the actual battle reports. On the left here, we have the werewolves. Unfortunately, can't zoom in. Against the plague demons we mentioned. And on the right, we have the just the setup of the other game for the vampires versus versus the ratmen.
The rats.
There you go. And then actually we have the werewolf deployment. So here, I'll go to the next picture after, but take it away for a moment for your battle plan.
So one of the nice things about the preparation I did for this tournament, and I try to prepare for all the tournaments, is something I really try to do.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the big things that I always make sure that I want to do is I want to make sure that I have a plan sort of when I sit down at the table going in. So I'm not sitting there like, oh, we're gonna do this because we keep doing this.
Yeah.
So we got our 3 werewolf bricks in the center. They are holding the line that is their. We got the crossbows off to the side because they're going to plink in some wounds. They're going to put the precision spotter on things, and if they die, they die. And we got that second brick of infantry that basically just exists to fight something off the flanks.
Yeah.
The real tech with this army, though, is the infantry in the back with the caster. That's where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
So turn 1, we advance slightly. We spot things. That's basically it. The caster builds up spell tokens. Turn 2, she's at 6. The last thing that we do with her is we give out regeneration to the 3 werewolves. We're sitting on 1 token. And then turn 3, hopefully, we're on 4 tokens. Hopefully we can regenerate again, or we can just start doing other stuff. This worked for every game of the tournament with one exception.
Yeah.
Did not work against the rats.
No.
Because as I mentioned, if I stayed in the back, I was going to get shot to pieces. And so this was just, you can see here, we're staying back. It's fine. Against the rats, it was, all right, all gas, no brakes. We got to get on the other side of the battlefield. Go, 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 go.
Like waking up in a fever. You just got to run.
Oh, man. Yeah, you're waking up and it's like, oh, this is bad. And then, no, this is really bad.
Yeah.
And you can see here, the battle lines are on my side of the table because I'm not moving up until I have
Mm-hmm.
to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let him come to me. And it is just one of those games where I have the control, I have the opportunity. I don't have to do anything until
Right.
and so you can see the markers that have been placed out. Everything's got the regeneration, and it is
Yep.
go time.
All the regeneration and so on.
Oh yeah,
Nasty. And the fortified
yes,
growth was adding up pretty quickly, I'm assuming.
yeah. Much to my chagrin,
There you go.
there was a lot of. Does that do what I think it does? Oh my god,
Mm-hmm.
this is bad.
I know, and you rely
Yeah.
heavily on your AP too, in that fact.
Oh man.
Goodness.
So the first turn, it's like it's fine. You only had a 4-up save to begin with. Whatever. I'm going to chew through that. By the time it's the -2, sitting there like, I'm paying how many points for all this tech, and
Mm-hmm.
it's doing nothing.
Yeah.
Great.
AP2 would definitely be, because like you have a 4+ defense. This is great. Like Chaos Warriors or Havoc Warriors would have that, but then it's like, oh, you put on AP2 against them. Now they have a 6+ save. Now they're just like basic humans or so on. But especially when your werewolves are naturally AP2, you rely heavily like, oh, got 4+ defense. That's great. No, I'm making you hit save on 6s. But now that you've taken that away entirely, now you're just like basic rats that are just swinging at a bunch of shields, and all the while it's still increasing. Or they
Yeah.
have Bane and they have Surge and so on. So no, I totally. Unfortunately, I wasn't up against them during the tournament, but I believe you how increasingly overwhelming that can be.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good, let me tell you.
No, I believe you. And then on the right, I think this is when they just started. We have the rats, dirty rats, but they're clean bases on the left side
Yep.
here, and then we have the gentleman with the beautiful looking vampires. And you notice that they're both green. Well, who would have thought? Maybe by the same guy.
Yeah. Oh my god, what a
Exactly.
surprise.
But some good old classic green bases from the old school
Yep.
Warhammer place, and I think we have some
I love it.
close-up pictures later from them. But no, some good-looking armies. But
Absolutely.
let's get right into the battle reports. That'll be my area of expertise. Of course, add anything. Just cut me off. Honestly, I'm just going to talk, but just cut me off if you have anything to mention.
Cool.
And so round one, my guys on the left, the Red Reavers versus the beautiful Kislev Chivalry. I should have added the word Kislev. Chivalrous Kingdoms and the Human Empire. So here we have the first game. We have the deployment types. We won't go in this crazy for the next games just to get this off the ground here, but we have the deployment type, secondary, and then here's the battlefield for every single table we had. We had 2 impassables, 2 forests, and a hill right in the middle. Quick and clean, nothing wrong with that. So deployment, it changes every game, but here it's just normal. So just deploy 12 up and 12 away from the center, and you get to use the whole back. And then the secondary was capture the flags. So as I mentioned before, I kind of just design my armies. I think most of us design our armies just to roll some dice and inflict some wounds, and capture the flag
Absolutely.
works exactly like that. So you're
Yeah,
extremely incentivized just to get at it.
It's just the easiest possible mission.
Mm-hmm.
It's just do the thing you're already going to do. And a lot of this tournament ended up being new player friendly, which was a lot of fun.
Yep.
But this was the single most new player friendly opening game.
Absolutely. Especially as good as the first game, so it's like, damn, I forget how to deploy my units, or I forget my battle plan, but here it's just do it. And I think we chose that on purpose, so it was good.
Absolutely.
But yeah, on the right it's the opponent's list. We won't obviously go out again. Just wanted you to remember. So here we have just a quick montage of the beautiful. We mentioned it a few times. Beautiful looking Kislev army that was 3D printed, and I wasn't even guessing that it was 3D printed when I first saw it. I assumed it was official models.
Yeah.
And didn't you 3D print it?
I did. So these
There
are
you
actually all sculpts from someone named Ilhaldiel. You can find them on Patreon. Beautiful models, and in
go.
the hands of a painter like Bob, I mean,
Yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm. And a
beautiful
good
in, beautiful out.
absolutely, and good color combination too. And I actually
Absolutely.
remember I mentioned. I know they're all snow bases, but I mentioned the Pegasus. From far away, it looked like it was snow and rock, but it's just the number
Yeah.
2 and the number 1. It blended in so well. But no, the Pegasus looks great. The purple and blue for the basic halberdiers looks fantastic. And then the stark contrast with the red, and it just looks great. And then we have I think that's Boris or just a generic guy, but that's the that's the altar, the deadly
Yep.
deadly altar. Then we have the character with the precision mark, but then yeah, we got some just basic halberdiers and so on, and then one of the unit of Grail Knights with the Lord in there, and it just
Oh,
breathtaking. They really the winged hussars with the, I suppose, Kassar character in there just looks great.
yeah.
Um, and then here's my army. I think I finished it the day before just for the bases, but um, a lot of mostly old school Warhammer guys, especially those dogs back there. But these are just models I one picked inherited from my father, who's been playing every army before I was born, or two Facebook Marketplace pickups. So here we have the totally not Marauders, Corn Gores. So they're just let's just say Beastmen infantry here and Beastmen over here. Then we have the quote unquote Bestigors with their dual weapons and grow weapons here, with a little chieftain growing up eventually stronger Archeon here. And then we have the Archeon and Dorgar back there as my spellcaster. I have Karanak as just a bigger version, just a stronger version of the two units of dogs. He's just the exact same. In fact, it might actually be less efficient, but that's not the point. Just had the model, had some fun, and then the giant. I just wanted to have fun. I got this off Facebook Marketplace, the Scarbrand 3D print, and it was one of my favorite models to paint. I never painted anything that large before, and I would have loved. I fell in love with his his pose. Like, you got great and clean ones that are just big, tall, and like changer of ways that are just tall and menacing. But he's leaning down to hit you like a linebacker. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
one of my favorite guys. But
You also this is a beautiful army
thank you
as well. So you
for
should
sure.
be extremely proud.
Thank you very much. I know I didn't feel that way when I was painting all these Marauders, but God. But thankfully, I picked up a few of these unit fillers here and there, like the skulls and these guys on
Yeah.
the pikes and so on. So you just fill in with extra models there. And another good thing about this game is that the biggest unit of infantry is only 20 models. So contrary to other games where like you could have 40 spearmen, 50 spearmen, and like zombies where you could have 50 and then you raise some extra ones. No, you start with 20 here, so it's a good solid block. It feels good. So yeah, straight into the game here. We got the first game with normal deployment. We got myself on the left and the beautiful Kislev on the right here. Pretty much the strategy was, I think he deployed first, so he put down his infantry block. I put down my infantry. He put down his infantry. I put down my infantry. Just want to have fun. And I mean, we're both hitting on fives, and and it was just having fun. Had the big guys down the middle, and my spellcaster, a little over expensive for a spellcaster, but again, I just wanted to have fun. And my dogs are scouters, so after you're done all your deployments, the units with scout can go up to 24 inches, and I think I went a little bit too far. Oh my god, I'm cheating. I didn't mean to. Right down the middle here. Actually, this might be after movements, but let's just assume I'm cheating. I apologize. Um, they can go up to 24 inches. So the things that have scout are usually weaker, but they can get the flanks pretty easy. That's why you see quick cav or dogs have them. And then next page here we have the end of beginning of some of the movements. Here I think he went first, so he's just moving up his guys. He's got no incentive to charge turn one or so on. And then because it's activation based, so you move, I move, you move, I move, which is still something I'm figuring out in comparison to traditional turn-based games. But I like it a lot. Here I have a little comment down here, Warbound boost. So Archeon in the bottom down here is a spellcaster, or for Khorne, let's call it ability caster. And he
Priest.
gave exactly a war priest. I think they call it blood priest, but either way, he just gives out, similar to Warner's regeneration abilities, I give out a more thematic Warbound boost. So obviously Warbound is when you roll once to defend, it procs 2 hits, but boost means, I mean, every faction has this, but it's essentially your special ability, just stronger. So when you roll, or when the opponent rolls ones or twos, or ones and twos, it counts as 2 hits. So that doubles down on my army idea where I won't have a lot of AP, but I'll just have a lot of hits. And so on and so forth. Like Havoc Bound boost, for example, when you shoot from 9 inches away, and or if you charge, now it's the boost version is you always have +1 AP.
Yeah.
And then that's just the same for every faction has their quote unquote boost version. So yes, just moving up, just moving on up, getting some guys going, and critically here, I mentioned in the next slide, is that the Pegasus charged, but they failed by 1. We checked it twice.
Oh my God.
I know. I think we checked it 2 or 3 times, but no, he failed by 1. He was fast. He doesn't care about the trees, and
He has a musician.
He also has a musician. So I think he's going 11 plus 2d6 because it's
Bob.
But no, he just unfortunately choked. And on top of all that, I moved up because I wanted him to charge me, but I just felt bad, and we double checked the lists. I think the list was right in front of him. We had to check a musician or not, but unfortunately, it was just a hair too short. So yeah, so this would be the end of turn 1. Obviously, we're just positioning, got the dogs circling around the corner, and getting ready for the next turn. And which we'll see a lot of counter charges, which is one of the best things about this game. Here, a lot of the pictures are going to be close-ups because we're being in combat, but here we have the Pegasus Knights were charged in the flank by the basic-looking dogs, and I could have charged with the Marauders, I could have charged with the big dog, but I specifically chose that because of charge reactions. Obviously, you can only charge in front of you. So, and he's not going to run away with his Pegasus Knights. That's just too many points. So he had to hold, and because he held, he's stuck in quote-unquote combat already, so he can't make any other decisions. He can't have someone come and help him. So first off was him, the dogs, and then obviously it was his choice next, but I can't recall what happened. And then my barbarians, and then actually it was the dogs, and then the dogs up top to contact the unit of halberdiers back here, so he couldn't come and help, so that he couldn't flank charge the dogs down here. So on paper, it looked like I was golden, but it's a dice game, and we'll see that in a second. So we got the big dog on the side, little dogs, gores, and then we can see a little bit of sneak peek up there. And then here's Bob's view of just being surrounded by red versus blue. And here on the very on the left side of the table, we got it was kind of a cat and mouse game because obviously his cavalry just wants to hit something that can kill, but I also want to try to chaff him, and I also have a big Scarbrand in the middle, so it's not something you can ignore. But I think what eventually happened was he charged me, and then I countercharged, or vice versa, either way. But anyway, at the end of the day, we both charged each other is exactly what we wanted. And so we can see some charging here. These tokens are just the Warbound boost, so hopefully I'll be better in combat. And then up here, we can see my my Bestigor charged a unit of infantry. And then the opponent's view of the good table, we got obviously the ones we mentioned already. We have Scarbrand in that actually got charged. Obviously, I counter-charged, but you don't always have to counter-charge. I mean, there's stand and shoot, but surprisingly, my big Scarbrand doesn't have anything that activates when he charges. But either way, I got charged down the middle, big charge on the right, and Bestigors are in there. All these little tokens here, the dice over here, I just needed some extra tokens, but his tokens are what we mentioned before, the Furious buffs from the altar, because they're once per turn, so he can just kind of mix it around just as a preparation. So if I remember correctly, the green ones are the furious buff. So he just started giving it out like crazy.
Jeez Louise.
Oh, I know exactly. And what we learned after was that you have to be within X amount of range, but also you have to draw a line of sight. But it doesn't have to be in front of you. You just have to be able to see them unimpeded. We figured that out with Sam, the rule master over there, where we had time. And so yes, like the war altars obviously facing front, and the knights were were like over here somewhere. But we figured out because he could draw a line of sight, hypothetically, if he was shooting or something, he could draw a line of sight sideways. He was able to get the furious or the surge, whatever it was, mark off. So
Yeah.
he was able to
Yeah,
spread that
the
around.
general rule the general rule is that anything on your guys for a buff, you just have to be within range. Don't worry about
Right.
line of sight. But anything on an enemy, always line of sight. And then spell casting, always line of sight as well. It's the one of the first lines of text in
Oh,
caster.
very good. Yep. And on top of all that, the hill is obviously a hill, so you're tough to see over it. But it only really counts as 9 height, let's say, because your health points is related to your heightness. So um, when this war altar, who's only height 6, is trying to see over Scarbrand, well, the Scarbrand has 24 health points, so the whole country can see him standing in the air. So he was able to mark me with some debuffs. So this wizard or battle master, let's call him, was able to mark me with a debuff, which obviously came in helped many times with +1 to hits and so on. Next here we got just under the picture. What happened was Archeon also got a side charge into the unit of Gremlins there, and I gave out some more Warbound boosts, I think. Yeah, just another overview picture and so on. Here we started getting into some combat. Marauders, or sorry, the Gores are gone, and there's no Grail Knights that are gone. I just got swept, like there's no tomorrow. Um, everybody does get to attack eventually at the same time. Now impact hits. If I recall correct, do impact hits happen before or at the same time as
Nope.
everybody else?
Everything's at the same
Okay,
time.
there you go. There are a couple things that happen, like spears. If you get charged and
Yeah.
you're holding a spear, there you go. Or if you have something that's deadly, it just has like let's call it priority. But 99% of the time you fight at the same time, even if you charge in with your lances that are longer than swords or something. But with that being said, yeah, I didn't do wounds at all. I think I did some hits and I got some 6s, just a proc, but his regeneration save comes in crazy. Like every single character that's attached to the side of a unit has regeneration, so that's just like Grail Knights. I think have a 3+ defense, and
Yeah.
and then they have that 5+ ward save on top of that.
Yeah,
It's
you're
just
not chewing
devastating.
through that easily.
Absolutely not. Especially these lone wolf barbarian war gores. But I mean, someone has to die eventually. So, and die they did for sure. Here in the middle, we have the Bestigors. They chewed through, and I don't want to be rude, but I chewed through those halberdiers, and the paired weapons help a lot. They are AP0 naturally, but if I remember correctly, they charge, so they get +1 AP because of piercing assault, and then I rolled my unpredictable fighter, which gave me +1 AP. So I was just there. 5+ defense turned into a 6+, and yes, they had regen, but it worked out very well. And so yeah, so the character also, if I remember correctly, I wiped like the whole unit from health points wise. If you let's say you're dealing damage to the unit and so on, like my Bestigors, for example, if hypothetically my Bestigors would lose all their health points and there was some carryover, that would be dealt onto the character that's joined to them. So it is kind of risky if you want to put like a caster in there or like a weak hero or like a strong hero into a weak unit, because he'll be relying on the unit for the health points, and you can't detach from the unit either. So you're like a captain, let's say, attached to a unit, and
you're stuck in with the boys.
Absolutely stuck in with the boys, and the opponent's captain went down with the crew. Here the Grail Knights are gone, and I didn't expect that at all. And surprisingly, so the dice down here, I do usually count down, but I had so many wounds I had to count up. So obviously he took some wounds. I took some wounds. Uh, Coming from the battle master here, he did put a surge mark on me, or correction, precision fighter. So their Grail Knights were +1 to hit. Um, so that would put on 3s, and then they have thrust as well. So they're hitting me on 2s, AP2, and then obviously their impact hits always hit on 2s. And so I was having to rely on a 5+5+. And contrary to the 2 games that are coming later, I rolled like God for some reason. I was just rolling those 5+ regeneration saves like crazy. If he had a single thing that stopped regen save, I'd be dead turn 1. Um, but I just rolled really well. And Archeon came on the side, didn't do much. But if I recall correctly, I didn't actually wipe out the whole unit. I took a few wounds away and so on. And but his flank charge helped a lot because I had let's just say 5 wounds, whatever. So that's 5 wounds. I got a flank charge, which counts as 1. Fear, so fear 1 from Archeon, and then fear 4, so that's 5 quote unquote extra kills, and that racked up pretty well. And you don't get any bonuses for charging; it's just flanks and kills and so on. But thankfully, I was able to withstand the cavalry charge up the hill, then down the hill, and he did get to roll discipline or a morale test. He had 1 whole rank left, so he rolled 1 die naturally. But obviously, as we mentioned before, every rank you get another die. So he rolled 2 on 5s, but he failed. And then he had his fearless, but he rolled snake eyes for that. He did roll 2 dice. You're only supposed to roll 1, but we just forgot at the time. But he rolled a 1, so his Grail Knights were off the table, gone. And that was huge because I genuinely thought obviously I have a lot of attacks, but he was just so defensive I couldn't get through him. Here we have the dogs. I took away a few models. I know the dogs aren't going to survive. I just want to get some hits in. He survives, passes his test crazy easy, and then turns to face me. For example, when he would eventually take the test, he would do 1 dice naturally, and then for every rank you have. So he's rolling 4 dice on his morale test, so he was good to go. And so they just turned to face. And then here was Heartbreak City. I mentioned before here they did not charge. I got almost a complete surround off, but I lost half my unit of Gores. None of my dogs took damage, but I failed, or I lost combat by, I think, 6. I just got devastated. And I survived. So I was at exactly half. So if I failed my morale test, I'd be gone. But the banner helped a lot. You can rely on a 5+. So I rolled 1, 2, 3 dice, and I passed it.
Yeah.
And then I also have to roll for the dogs. And although they don't have enough wounds to eventually rout, they all failed, and they are shaken. So -1 to hit until we say otherwise. And the Pegasus Knights didn't even notice. I mean, yeah, 1 guy got taken away. He just fell on the ground. But the Pegasus Knights are just good to go. It's 1 extra model loss is not a big deal for them, and they're ready to go. And I'll tell you, they're going to be there for the rest of the game. So yeah, and I mean, 1 negative with the unit fillers is it's hard to take off into a mid-roll model, so you'll see a lot of dice hanging around. And then here, yeah, end of 2, just an overall picture. In the previous picture, I forgot the turn. I know it's only end of turn 2, but half the table is gone. We have Scarbrand that turned to face the oncoming 2nd unit of Grail Knights. We have Archeon kind of in there somewhere, his characters and so on. But no, it's just devastating. And initially, I know obviously Bretonnian or Chivalrous Kingdoms are an offensive army, and humans are kind of in the middle. But if I looked at the list, he's actually a lot more offensive than I am, which kind of caught me off guard. Once I relaxed, turn 2, and took a drink of water, I just looked around like, wow. Yes, I took a unit of Grail Knights out. Yes, I took a unit of Halberdiers. But I'm on my back foot. Like, I got 6 Bestigors left with a rinky-dinky Archeon, and my right side is going to crumble next turn because they're just weak. So it was on my back. I was on the back foot, certainly. Started turn 3 here. Of course, the charge came in. I think this was actually after combat. I just might have forgot a few pictures here and there just because it was so exciting. But yes, I do have 6 wounds left. The extra dice back here was just for activation. But he did some good old wounds to me. Up here was some facing and so on, but I think I have some better pictures later. So yeah, so I charged into the side of his altar, and then Archeon charged in first. His character moved around to get to safety, which I didn't expect. Well, I should have, but I was just foolish. And so I said, screw it, let me just charge into the side. This was after combat, and his like grail relic, whatever, it's extreme. It's like warm butter. It's gonna crumble in a second. This guy stood and saved himself. I don't know how. There was technically like 6 peasants, let's call them, holding up this thing, and they managed to do 5 wounds to Archeon, and they're hitting on
What?
5s. I know he was rolling 6s like crazy. He rolled probably 5 6s, or not. He rolled at least 4 6s, which caused a rending. So my defense was up to 6. I have no regen or anything, and
just chewing through. Yeah,
he absolutely did. And if I remember correctly, I think he hit all of them just by happenstance and a couple 6s. I rolled all my saves and I rolled 1 6 to survive, and I charged him. I didn't expect it at all. And then the best
105
of course
points,
came as well.
guys.
Oh, exactly, 105 points. That's what I'm saying. And Archeon he's not the traditional Archeon, but he did have a great weapon, so he should have did some damage. But no, he saved the day. Eventually, I think after the next turn, I did get him, and so I survived somehow. I may have skipped a few pictures, but either way, down here we have some Grail Knights gone, and lo and behold, I got 2 wounds left, and I had to take a couple morale tests here and there, but I survived on 5. I think I might have lost by 2 or 3, so that I wouldn't have been up to a 5+. I think like a 4 or something. But at the end of the game, I did have to save sometimes on a 6, and I was rolling good. And so, here's a better picture. Yeah, so on the right side of the table, I'm dwindling. The dogs aren't being fought. Rightfully so. He's just got to get rid of the guy in front of him. But somehow, I just defended pretty well. I only lost 3 guys that turn, but I just wasn't able to. The dogs are hitting on 5s or 6s, and the Wargors just don't have that oomph anymore. So his Pegasus Knights are just holding firm. Up top, the dogs, of course, they just crumbled away, but they did their job to hold back the line. And so yeah, that's just slowly but surely over there. Here is a good picture from Bob. The big demon just getting chased down by those cavalry.
That is like so Kislev.
It is, yes, it is. They got. I mean, it's all gone right now because we had all the marks. But I can assure you, my little template here was full of markers from him. He had Furious buff, Precision debuff. He had a Surge mark on me. Like I think he had more tokens on me than I had dice on myself. He was pumping out those debuffs and buffs to his allies, and rightfully so, because I mean I start with 24 wounds, so by the end-ish, let's say turn 3 or 4, I only had 6 or maybe 2 wounds left. So he's got no shooting, so it was all combat, and he was doing a good job. Here we have close to the end of the game, and this is maybe turn 3 or 4. But here's the here's the death pool. Archeon's gone. Everyone's gone. Archeon's way over here, facing the other way, because he actually had to go chase the battle master. Was running away, and I shot him with some good old corn magic, and just got lucky. But she's in there somewhere. But I was just pulling out the final stops. Here is the only guys left on the table. Is his unit of halberdiers, my Bestigors, and little weak Archeon over here. And I think this might have been end of turn 5. And last but not least, here's the last picture. Because he had no more models on the table, I was able to... oh, you know what? Actually, if I remember correctly, here in this gap right here was actually 2 Pegasus Knights.
Oh,
Um,
they survived.
and they survived, but they didn't survive to get into combat because he did make it into combat. He charged, I charged, whatever. But Archeon had all his magic spells left because I couldn't cast anything, and I had some magic to shoot, and I was able to do 4 wounds onto the Pegasus Knights before combat started, and killed them before it began at all, which was it saved the game. I really did because I don't think the Bestigors could have stood. Plus with the character in there, that's pushing maybe 300, 400 points. But as you saw before, I was able to get it done. I think had 5 models left to remember, and so I was able to scoot out that. But yeah, that's the last picture of my army and his, and then to get into the final, I won. I had 15 points in total. He had 5, and then I won secondary. So at the end, it would have been 12 to
No,
12 to 8. Yeah, and then secondary
yeah,
was a 3 to push. But no, you're mentioning.
yeah, no, like from what it looks like, 12-8, and then going to 15-5. Like this is a Pyrrhic victory.
It was
like,
absolutely.
if this was an actual military campaign, Archeon's looking around like, we gotta go home.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
And his younger brother is just chilling over there. He's just getting there. And some Pegasus Knights charged in. But yeah, no, I had all my magic dice left, and I think I did level 3 and then level 1. Thankfully, he had no wizard to stop me, but I just got lucky with those rolls and so on. But no, that was a great game. It was a beautiful army, and he did exactly what I expected, just debuff and go after the big monster, and rightfully so, because that was 700 points. But no, that was fun. All right, and then the second round, straight into it, is the Red Reavers versus the Ratmen. And here we have, obviously, the list on the right again. We mentioned a lot about those weapons teams, and those weapons teams paid for themselves. In fact, he should have just took weapons teams, for God's sakes. But either way,
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, wait, didn't you play them? No, you played Nurgle first turn. You played
Yeah, no, they were my last game. You
yes.
came over to me and gave me told me what had happened, and
Mhm.
that was me going like, oh, okay, well, time to
Exactly.
pony up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure. There's only 3 wounds for them, or like the Grenadiers only have 10 models, 150 points.
Yep,
It should be about 500 points.
yep.
But either way, you'll see their effect in this pretty soon. We have rapid deployment. Players may deploy any number at once, and then the first guy to finish gets to take first turn. We just went 1-1. In hindsight, I should have just dropped to take first turn. I think I eventually did get first turn just because I had fewer units than he. He's got 11 units. But I mean, it didn't matter at the end of the game. And then secure target as a secondary is we put down 2 markers 24 inches away from each other. I just put mine on the hill in the middle, and then he put his away. And then you just have to be around them, controlling them at the end of the game. Which is interesting because it seems like a lot of people a lot of units just die, and you don't have time to worry about that secondary. Which is, I'm not complaining.
Not really.
I'll tell you that. But either way, yeah, he's got his big units of rats and 2 blocks of Skaven. He's got his shooters and his artillery, just like the good old rats do. And he's got 2 champions that are caster 3, so they're just two casters running around doing their thing. And the Blessed Platform, which is essentially the evil version of the War Altar that we just saw from Kislev, which instead of buffs, they hand out debuffs. And he's pretty strong by himself as well, so... get into the deployment. Here's the deployment. Same table, but definitely won't go the same way. We got this good old building that I hide behind because he's got his cannon. Weapons... No, his weapons team is one of those 2. I can't remember. But again, they're probably just...
Yeah, the
cannons.
The Globadiers are in the back, and then the weapons team is...
Oh, I think... Yeah, I think this is the weapons team.
That's the weapons.
Yeah, there you go. And that's 10... of the Globadiers. He's got his big wheel over here. I just didn't really have an answer for it. I mean, yes, okay, they have Scarbrand, but you have to remember that he's not very... I mean, everybody goes the same speed, but he's got to stay in melee, and he's only hitting on 4s, and just can't run around with him. Like if you're like playing Total War, you just can't run around the whole field. So you kind of have to stick with your battle lanes, which I love about these kind of games. Again, got the scouting dogs over here just to whip around. Scouting dogs in the middle. I was trying to be cheeky. I think they do have Strider, so that I just wanted to run right up the middle. And when I deployed them, I saw his cannons, put him there, and I measured that. It was pretty high. I think I needed like a 9 on the 2d6 in addition to my roll already. But then
Yeah,
he put his wizard right in front of it, and I said, "Ooh, I see it now." I think he
that's
played
pretty
me
sweet.
for a fool because he knows how to play. So I charged into him. We'll see in a second. Um, but I charged and I successfully got it, but it was a trap. I think it was. Of course, Skaven have traps. Who would have thought? Um,
Oh my God, what a surprise!
and then I just put my guys in the middle. He's so tall that I just couldn't hide him behind a hill or anything, so I
Oh
just had to take a
yeah,
beating.
it also doesn't
And
hurt this whole
yeah,
army has fire and direct, so
absolutely.
eh,
And yeah, you
he don't
saying?
get you.
Oh yeah, they got
He's
the
gonna
whole
get
kitchen.
you.
Everything's got rending. All the shooting is. I mean, it's artillery, so yes, I think it's a natural 5 up to hit, but because I'm 9 inches or more away, they have +1 to hit, um, which is just devastating, especially because he has his cannons do multiple wounds or deadly against something that's large. Here's just a better picture of his good old classic green bases and those good old classic like Warhammer 5th edition looking banners. I love them. Nothing wrong
Yeah,
with them. Good, clean looking army. Um, it's not 3D printed from you, is it?
no, good heavens, no.
No, no.
Like that Doom wheel is probably older than both of them.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I remember old pictures when my dad used to play in Saskatchewan, and my oldest brother would still be a kid. I'm like, oh goodness, they were playing for a long time. And no, I remember seeing old pictures of these Doom wheels and these good, clean flock bases and so on. Um, but yeah, just some good old classic Skaven here, and a close up of my gores who are about to be gored from these wheels and cannons and so on. And you can see the markers here. Um, just want to be around them by the end of the game. But here's a better picture from the angle. We got his cannons back here. The same thing. I think that's an Empire cannon, but we got the 2 cannons here. Um, Another cool thing about this game, really quick, is the base sizes. Um, do you want to mention something really quickly about the base size and kind of like flexibility about
Yeah,
all that stuff?
we don't care. Um,
I like it. I
there
like
there
that you
is
don't
like a
care.
certain there's a certain degree of like within reason,
Right.
but if you have a lord on a dragon, that shouldn't be on a 20 millimeter base.
Yeah.
Put it on a base, put it on a base that makes sense, but it does tie back into it's a lot of rule.
Mm-hmm,
There
mm-hmm.
are a lot of really interesting ways to make armies in this game that are just sort of dirt cheap, something strange, something unique. I mean, I'm playing an army from a whole different game. Like
Exactly.
everything is War Machine hordes. Bob in our last game had uh, a Pathfinder pre-painted miniatures figure on a round
Mm.
base. We don't care as long as it makes sense, as long as it works. You're all good. So that little battle for Skull Pass cannon there, go
Yeah.
for it. The
Exactly.
big giant cannon on the giant base.
Yeah.
What other base is going to fit that thing? Go
Exactly.
for it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And in the previous tournament, we had a gentleman play his chaos with like Bellicor and those like demonic knights from like Old World and Age of Sigmar and so on. And they're all oval bases or circular bases because that's what the games request. But it was fine. We just rank them up, make them look somewhat as a unit, and just play as it is. And you know what?
Just,
I love it. It's just for
yeah.
fun. Like obviously you want to have
Slap them on a movement
structure.
tray.
Exactly. Like he had these Chaos Warriors back here. It's a picture. He had something similar to these Chaos Warriors back here, but obviously they're on circle bases. That's right. He just kind of put like a square underneath, and there, boom, that's the rank. And he had his big
Call it a
like
day.
demonic Chaos Knights. He just put them together. Super easy. But yeah, like these 2 guys we mentioned are the same thing, but just keep it within reason. It's fun. There is suggested sizes, like obviously big guy, you don't want to put him on a 50 by 50, but just whatever's best and whatever's fun. So I really like it because I'm incentivized to use these big monsters that I've painted. I'm like, in other games, it's like a strict base size, so you can't really, especially their poses and so on. Like I know in a previous game, this base size would have to be rectangular facing this way, so I just couldn't use them at all, so it wouldn't fit. But I really like the flexibility. It's just all about having fun and so on in this game.
Yeah.
But either
You
way, that
don't
was
care?
deployment.
Just don't be a jerk.
Exactly. Don't be a jerk and just have some fun. Don't cheat like I unintentionally did last game. Anyway, here's the end of turn one for movement, and I'm bleeding. I'm bleeding from
Oh,
some shooting
jeez.
here. My bestigors. Uh, Everybody knows how dirty the Skaven are. I had a brain lapse. I didn't realize how I forgot how strong the shooting was. So the cannons obviously shot Scarbrand, and he did 5 wounds in the first turn. The dogs are gone because I charged the first turn. I charged the wizard. And I'm like, oh, that's a free kill. He's got 3 wounds. He's got no defense, whatever. I forgot you could just shoot magic. He just shot magic in front of me, and he killed all the dogs. um,
Yep.
I mean, it is somewhat a good sacrifice because it saved magic from obviously other guys. But you notice his wizard here just shot the dogs, and this wizard turned and shot the dogs with magic. I can't remember what the spell is, but
Yep.
it makes your opponent roll 6 dice with like no AP or anything.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
yeah, that's Skaven one, and I think it's only a 2+ to roll that too. So or a spell level 2. So that's
Just
pretty damn
the
good.
magic is nasty,
Yeah, it's
and
just another shooting
this
phase,
is
really.
why.
Yeah.
100%. But this is why, like I said, I my whole thing was just go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a choice.
Yep.
Go, go, go.
Same here. I totally agree. I moved up as you see. I pretty much just this is like 12 here. I just moved up here, and I was I was just an inch too far. He couldn't fit in this hole, but he just like rotated ever so slightly. And yes, he got a -1 to hit, but he chewed through 5 models. And yeah, okay, 5 is not the end of the world, but that's 5 less, or that's
And less attacks.
how many attacks was that? Yeah, that's just 10 less attacks. And I mean, like that one line there is almost like 150 points. So it just broke my heart. But it was my choice. But either way, I forgot. And then yeah, obviously Bellicor took some damage. Over here we have that big the altar guy blocking my flank and giving me some debuffs. Here's the debuff tokens that he gave. It's just -1 defense, and yeah, okay, it's against dogs, so it's 6+. But against like my Bestigors or even Big Scarbrand, on top of their armor piercing values, it's pushing almost to 5s or 6s sometimes because your defensive stat um, is also like your resilience, like your toughness, your no not toughness, your resilience, your defensive skill, and your armor save all in one. So AP, just like AP 1 or 2, is just like the is something to push for. Maybe 3 or 4, okay, that's cool, especially if you're trying to kill a character. But even having AP 1 on your basic infantry is fantastic. And so here we got the beginning of turn 2. Everything's charging because I gotta get in combat, and he's dishing out some debuffs. So I had my little dog chilling out, and I had to make some big charges, which thankfully I did. And he obviously countercharged as well. Got the chargs there, got the dog in the side, charged his big unit of rat ogres. That's not going to turn out very well. And I failed the charge here by another, but like 1 inch. And he just laughed and he started shooting me again. So, rightfully so, I don't blame him. I think he said, "Oh, that's too bad," and I looked in his eyes and he was hell happy. But no, he just kept shooting me. And and so on. And then over here, Archeon's getting pelted again, and I anticipated he was just going to shoot Scarban the entire time. But I mean, I understand because Scarban has to be stuck in combat. Archeon's got the magic,
Yeah.
so I mean, yeah, okay, it's like a. I didn't intend to be Scarban like this big hey shoot me kind of thing, but I guess that kind of turned into it. And on the right
I
side
mean,
here,
you
so,
Scarbrand's so big you can shoot him anywhere.
yeah, that's the thing.
So shoot the thing that you're not going to get a chance to shoot later. You're
Agreed.
not going to get a chance to shoot Archaon when he hides behind Scarbrand or does something. He's out in the open. We get one kick at this camp.
Exactly, yeah. And that's the thing, because I mean, I just took Archeon because I like the model. Um, is he the most efficient wizard? Absolutely not. I think I tooled him out to be like 200 points too expensive, but I just had some fun. But yeah, no, I had assumed big guy, shoot the big guy because he's gonna run you over, but that doesn't matter because he's stuck in combat. Well, actually, not right now, but he will eventually. And on the right side, I think that was a spell for like -1 morale, I think, or something like that. But yeah, I got another debuff, and hey, I got the big wheel against my basic gores. That's not going to turn out very well. Here on the left side, I somehow rolled a bunch of sixes with my dogs and got that rending. So that's a plus AP4, and my dogs chewed through that big giant bell, and I killed it entirely. I took some wounds, obviously, on the side here, but that's fine. Um, and actually, because this debuff is still on him, those 5 dogs um, just killed him outright. I didn't have the opportunity to fight with him, so debuff had to stay on him, which was kind of interesting. Here in the middle, I I did a little prayer before combat. I prayed to the dark gods, and it turned out very well. Archeon down here did his little magic, and he imbued the rat ogres with fatigue. Um, it's just the spell level 1, so I just had to roll a 4 plus, or I think I boosted it to a 3 plus, and then I forced my opponent to take a discipline test, and I think the rat ogres have a 4 plus. In fact, I think the hero
Yeah.
that he's with has maybe a 3 or 4 plus, so he rolled pretty decent for his morale, but he rolled a 1, so he became fatigued. So his big, strong, charging rat ogres that have like 4 attacks each, furious, unpredictable fighter, so on, uh, only hit on 6s, which saved
Uh,
my unit entirely.
oops.
I think his unpredictable fighter rolled a +1 AP, which did not matter at all.
Ooh.
I know,
Yeah,
so he
no.
got really unlucky with that. But if I could be remembering incorrectly, but either way, the gores are still there somehow. I think these rat ogre, and they did some damage too. But I think the rat ogres had like a combination of 20 or maybe 24 attacks, similar to your werewolves, and his hero
Yeah.
had something in there. Um, but I just survived somehow. I still had one of us had to take the morale, but we both stayed there. And Scarbrand is not in combat yet, but here's the end of turn 2. Um, Wounds
Oh
left.
god.
Yeah, he's getting pelted over here. The barbarians, or sorry, the gores also survived somehow. They are shaken, so I failed my morale test, but I had to roll. Again, the unit filler is just kind of there for convenience, but I think I still had 2 ranks, maybe 3, but either way, 2 ranks. So I rolled 3 dice on my morale, and I stayed, but I was shaken, so -1 to hit. So again, I had to rely on 6s. But I thought to myself, well, I can try to destroy the wheel or destroy the unit of rats, and the unit of rats was just kind of annoyance. Yes, they're dishing. They have 5 plus to hit, and they're dishing out attacks, but the wheel costed about the same, and I didn't really have any answers for it. So I kind of relied on. Um, I mean, my gores had AP2, which is not bad. They have big gore great weapons. But when I did wound him, thankfully he rolled a couple 1s and 2s for the boost and so on. So I chose to have all my attacks go into the big wheel. Um, Maybe that was right, maybe that was wrong, but either way, that's the choice I made. And yeah, so Archeon's getting pelted back here from the cannons and some good magic. Here in the next turn, things were going a little bit better, but the problem is I didn't really have an answer for his magic and shooting. Here on the left, I think this is after combat because we lost some health points here. His bombardiers, let's call it grenadiers, turned and they had nothing stopping them. My dogs charged this unit, and my Karanak charged them, but Karanak was in combat and he died from the bombardier shooting right in the side, unfortunately. Um, I think he had maybe a 5 plus to hit because he was moving, but it was like AP2, and
Yeah.
it was just overwhelming. So I did a good job there. Scarbrand got into combat, simple as that. Archeon, as you actually, I don't think you saw the picture, but you did say it correctly earlier. Archeon ran behind Scarbrand and hide behind his little leg, and
What you do?
exactly. And I didn't even. I was thinking about, like, you know what? Maybe I can hide there. And my opponent was like, I didn't even see that coming, and I didn't see
Yeah.
it either. Um, but guess what? He's got answers. Behind Archeon's wing, or sorry, Scarbrand's wing, he's got his two sorcerers, and yeah, they started shooting him with some magic around Archeon's leg, or Scarbrand's leg. Um, Here we got the Gores, just kind of trying to surviving. Somehow, some way, I got the fatigue spell off again, and he failed his morale test again. So his rat ogres were 6+ to hit, but I think this time he got unpredictable fighter to roll +1 to hit, so fives. But either way, I still survived, and I didn't anticipate it at all because I thought he was just going to chew through me. The dogs would run away from morale test, and he would turn and fight Scarbrand, but somehow they survived. Unfortunately, I'm not doing too much damage back because I'm only hitting on fives. But either way, it is what it is. Scarbrand, he's taken some wounds. I can't remember if that's 9 wounds left or 9 in total. I need to get a d20. But his cannons are just doing their job, and also because he's so big, you could just shoot him without any penalties. He's so large in comparison to the unit in front of him. Is usually you take -1s to hit, but in this case that doesn't matter because he's so big. The weapons teams are shooting him. The cannons have multiple wounds if you successfully wound them, so they're just dishing damage out, and there's nothing I can do. Well, nothing I can reliably do. And that's because his two wizards just play off each other so well. One of them can shoot, and the other one can stop my magic. If I'm trying to cast a spell from Archeon over here, and I use a couple tokens, and I'm trying to roll on a 4+ or whatever, my opponent can use some tokens from a wizard that can see my wizard and make my spell casting worse by using some of his tokens. So at this point here, because they were within range, my opponent was using one of his wizards to make Archeon's day worse, and the other one was just shooting him at the same time. Very Skaven-like of him. He did a good job.
Very Skaven.
And exactly. And if I remember correctly, I think next turn or this turn, I actually tried to run with Archeon down here, but of course, he could reach me with his spells. I'm like, god damn it. Either way. Next turn here, next picture I meant is just a better overview. Losing some guys. I'm still shaking, so there's just no saving. I just got overwhelmed.
Bad the whole way down.
Just a bad way. Like most of the time, it's just for fun. But like I'm just seeing like Scarbrand get caught up, our Gores get caught up. Like there's just nothing I can do. It's like, oh, I got my dogs. No, they're all dead from shooting. So, but yeah. Here we got the so this is I think the third turn, or it didn't, or this is the end of second turn. I can't remember, unfortunately. But again, I got the fatigue buff off, fatigue debuff off, and took some wounds, did some more. He's not fighting the dogs because it doesn't matter. I just want to try to get the guy in front of you. But somehow, some way, I was surviving, and Scarbrand stomped right through those rats, killed all of them entirely. No morale tests required. He stomped right through them. So I turned to face. I should hear. I don't know if what was the correct answer, but I knew the rat ogres at this point was kind of like the only points I could save or trying to take away from my opponent. The weapons teams were like obviously 150 points, and the wizards were like 100, so it doesn't matter. Plus, he can still shoot me, so I had to get something. But I just turned to face them, kind of face like this whole area to see what I can hit. End of turn 3, the Gores are dishing some damage, but yeah, I mean they're shaking. They're dead in the water. And speaking of dead in the water, they're just gone. But they took the wheel down with them. On the very last hit, it was because I think I only had 5 models left from the last picture, but I did all 5 hits. I think I hit maybe 2, and he had 4 wounds out of 6, but he rolled a 1, which counts as 2 wounds. So that very last Gore with his very last swing killed the wheel, and so maybe I did one extra wound there, but I was very thankful I got him. Here, Archeon's gone because we've got some wizards doing their wizardry rat stuff, and the gores and the dogs are all gone. Who would have thought? It looks like I only got 7 wounds left against the rat ogres. But I got into combat, tried to do some wounds, but Scarbrand went down fighting, and I got tabled by my opponent. And but it was fine. I had some fun, and that came up to a 1-19 loss. I got tabled, but how did I get points? Well, although I did get tabled, I did obviously take some guys down with me, so the point differential affected that, and I think the unit of Skaven that was over here eventually ran to the objective and so on, so they were able to secure it. And so that's why we got the big victory difference. Oh, yeah, but seeing this game, and then obviously you played them afterwards, how was this similar to your Chaos versus
Oh
his
my
Skaven?
god, it was similar and different at the same time,
Right.
which is not what you want to hear me say. Early on, I had to make a big charge. Unit of werewolves was going to charge the weapons teams. It was a
Yeah.
9-inch charge, and Sam was like, "Yeah, I'm just going to hold, fully expecting to get to shoot something later." I cranked the 9, and he's just like, "Yeah, there's nothing I can do about it." So I now have a big bad unit of werewolves starting to munch on some weapons teams. All of the shooting he has stops what it's doing and starts killing that unit of werewolves.
Jesus.
I end up trading most of the unit of werewolves into that unit of rat ogres, kind of just like what you did, but I ended up getting the better end of the deal because I'm hitting. And then, like I said, the caster on my side just decided we're not being a support piece. Today, we're taking the fight to the enemy. And so
Yep.
he finished off the unit of weapons teams. He finished off the big doom wheel. He ate 2 cannons and fried the brains of both wizards.
Jesus.
Yeah, just
Impressive.
like I think she probably got me 800 points by herself, maybe,
Goodness
give or
gracious.
take.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I had 8 models on the table, but I was in his deployment zone and he was in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Oh, it was breakthrough, eh?
It was breakthrough by the end,
Yeah.
and so that was all I needed to do. But right off the rip, it's such an innocuous looking list.
It is, yes.
And then all of the pieces start working, just sitting there, like, oh god, what am I going to do next? I think you could like lean into the Grenadiers and the weapons teams more, but it was a terrifying list. That's like the honest to God's truth. Like it
Absolutely.
was just nasty the whole way down.
No, I agree. The weapons teams did their part. Obviously, their cannons. I mean, they're only hitting on 5+, but obviously, being far away from the opponent, you got +1 to hit. So the shooting was quite reliable against the big guys. Or I mean, big guys, but like just anybody that's by themselves, I suppose, like Archeon and so on. The wizards, they're pretty much just more shooters. Like they're super cheap.
Yeah.
They run around.
100%.
Not only can they dispel or make it worse, but they just shoot you with these spells that
Just
I think
pile
it's like,
on the damage.
absolutely, just pile on the damage. I think you have like 6 dice, and they wound super easily. So on.
Yeah, it's pick one enemy model within 12, which takes 6 hits with hazardous.
Yeah, there
So
you go.
hazardous gets AP4, but then you have to roll 6 dice, and on a 1 you take a wound.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Sam didn't roll a single one, and
No, for me
just
neither.
melted werewolf.
Yep. No, he rolled exactly what he needed. Never rolled a 1.
Exactly.
Always wounded.
Yeah.
And then everything else in his army ignored regen. So there you go. But again, it was fun to play. Great opponent. But just it's Skaven, you know. It's just it's like they got the strength of the vampire zombies with their big block of Skaven. They got the devastating shooting from like dwarves and Empire, and then they got the big like wheel that's just debuffs and like toxic, I guess, from like Warhammer, and then the rat ogres, which like you don't think of big strong monsters from Skaven, but you know what? Here they are.
Yep.
And no, he played it very well, very fun. Debuffs galore, and he did a good job. Really liked it. So yeah, there's the I don't want to look at it. Breaks my heart. And then here for the last game, we actually got a rematch. Just by the way it worked out of the Kislev again, but it was really welcomed because it's always great not only to play but to play against his opponent. Here we got the CZ initiative, which is actually really fun. It's each turn,
Yeah.
players roll off to see who activates first. So it's again, as I said before, I'm still figuring out all the activation based. Um, and so it's like you gotta really time, you gotta figure it out. And obviously, it's turn based; you just get to do all your charges at once. But here, nothing's guaranteed. And if I remember correctly, although it was like my turn to go first, then his turn, it was always the opposite. We always rolled when it shouldn't have been your turn or something like that. So it kind of swapped out. But it was fun. It was lots of fun. And then breakthrough, as we mentioned, be the player with the most toughness, or just tough inside of their opponent's deployment zone at the end of the game. Units ambushing on the last turn do not count. So tough would just be health points, so
Yep.
models or big guy and so on. And then there's the list on the right side. Here we got a different table, a fresh view, but again it's the same deployment. Field obstructions,
Yep.
and again, I think I may have learned too late. Archeon behind the wall doesn't really matter against these guys because they have no shooting or anything. But he does have the marks, so he's got the surge mark, which is sixes are good, and then he's got the precision fighter, which is +1 to hit. So obviously they went against Big Scarbrand or Bestigors and so on, but I just didn't want him to get a free charge against Archeon and whatever, because his Pegasus Knights, or I think just like all of his knights, are naturally 6. They're fast, so they're +4, so charge 10, and then musician, so +1, so 11 plus 2d6. That's just crazy. Um, Essentially, I mean, yeah, 13 minimum guaranteed, which is almost the whole battlefield already. But either way, I learned from my mistakes, and I wanted my dogs to get right after his markers. I put both because these are scouting, so they're deployed at the very end. Once he's done, once I'm done, I put my dogs down, and boop boop. I went right after his debuffs and buffs casters and so on. Scarban right down the middle, just for fun. He put down his Grail Knight. Actually, he put down his both Grail Knights at the beginning, which is, I mean, yes, I sort of have my big monster and I can rely on my spells and so on, or just luck from the die. But I just really don't have a proper answer for them. Uh, so I mean, I do lose a lot of models, but just like the first game, he just chews right through me. And it's all about the combination of buffs and debuffs. But yeah, he put down his Grail Knights, put down his infantry, and then he put down his Pegasus Knights, which is good and bad because he kind of had the whole lane to himself. I didn't really have a good answer, as I said before, to stop his knights. But I kind of wanted him to funnel in so that I can maybe get a flank or just maybe sacrifice Archeon and so on. But we'll see how that turns out. And then Big Dog in the background just kind of doing his thing. So the end of turn 1, I'm not sure why this picture is so weird. I think I took it sideways and it froze or something. But either way, this sketchy picture. We have the Gores back here. Um, they moved up to bait him to charge, but he didn't choose to charge, which was surprising. He would have walked right through me, I can assure you. And I think he was like just right here. But either way, he didn't charge. And I mean, it's activation based, so it could have been like here, then here, and then here, and this was last. But either way, didn't charge. Just moving up, just getting posture. Big Scarbrand in the middle. Um, this was breakthrough, so like I had no answer for these knights. So his idea was just kind of get through, and then figure out where to go from there, or just maybe stay there. And the dog is just kind of moving around the corner. But here it's kind of hard to see. We have unit of dogs and unit of dogs. On the next picture, it might be able to help. The altar is gone. I got the altar first turn. Very surprising. And I felt really bad doing it. I know how much he was relying on the abilities. He was able to dish out some of the abilities, because you don't have to. You can still hold and do the buffs and so on, and you can do them all once per turn. It's not just you have to choose one. So he was able to get it off onto his knights, and then he gave one to his knights over here and so on, just as like a dying blow, let's call it. But yes, thankfully, I was able to get his altar, and eventually turned. And this was probably the beginning of turn two. I charged to the side of his character, and then my dogs either failed the charge against the queen here or purposely charged them, but either way, they're still alive. And the end of turn two's pictures. At this point, this was the last game of the day, so it just kind of got tired, and I didn't take so many pictures. So there will be a few gaps here, but either way, they are in combat. As I mentioned, models left. I got 4 models left, and I took away one back there. So just like the first game, it was just almost a clean sweep, but I was able to survive on my 5+ roll, and I didn't get 2 dice, only got 1 because I only had 4 left. But thankfully, I rolled a 5+ on that, so the Gores were able to hold up the Pegasus Knights. He did get to. I charged him, so he got a counter charge on me. So he was able to unleash the full power of the Pegasus Knights with their 2 impact hits each. And of course, the second rank also gets to use the impacts, which is why big blocks of knights can be really devastating. So that would be 12 impact hits with AP 1. So that's pretty much just like 12 free hits hitting on 2s. And then AP 1, which pushed my defensive skill to a 6+. And then he got the swing with his lances on top, which are hitting on 3s, and then his Pegasuses are hitting on 4s, and so on. So, and I did a couple wounds back, but either way, just devastating. Here, the queen was still alive. Didn't kill it. Only had 1 wound left, but just wasn't able to get it. Not the biggest deal in the end of the world. It's not spellcast or anything, but it's just a +1 to hit that you can give out per turn. It was really good, and did a few wounds here and there. Here's the next turn. I don't know if this is the next turn exactly. I forget, unfortunately. It was getting later in the day. But either way, it's a few turns later, potentially. And here we have the queen is backed up, and over here, so on. Scarbrand's getting to combat. I think this might have been second turn of combat, so eventually I did turn and face my opponents. But he charged in with his infantry. Yes, I do remember it was a flank charge because I moved out too far, and my cone of view was so large. I had 6 wounds left, or 7 wounds left here, because the cavalry that's back here did charge me in the front, and he charged in the flank. I didn't have any support because I had poor positioning, but I, just by the grace of God, I was able to crush the Grail Knights just all by himself. I just did all my wounds because he was in front of me, so I didn't have any negatives hitting forward. 8 attacks from the stomps, AP2, 12 from the sword that had rending, which ignored the 4 regen save. And then the 8 attacks from the AP4 Ultra Hammer or Ultra Axe, whatever it's called. Again, I was hitting on 4s, but either way, he got his precision mark, so they were hitting on 2s. But yes, I have 7 wounds left here. I remember that for sure. But just by circumstance, I was able to cut them all down and then eventually turn and face and start dealing with these guys. Yes, they're devastating. All of their hits ignore my regen. But they're unless they roll a 6, they're only AP 0, so I was able to defend them off a bit. Here, these guys didn't get into combat at all. They're just kind of moving up, doing their thing. Archeon's he's only got 1 spell token left, so he's dishing out some magic, maybe shooting, maybe Warbound boost, can't recall. Here, maybe a turn left. He's got a few wounds left. I'm gonna forgot how many from last turn, but either way, he's only got a few wounds left when he started at 24. The infantry charged his side, and I eventually got rid of the infantry here and turned to face my opponent. But the barbarians got a side charge. The dog that was way over here got a side charge in, um, and so I was thankful that Scarbrand was able to hold out that long. Next picture here, we got only 2 Gores left, and I had 4 in the front there, and he had all these attacks, but it was whiff city from both of us. We're just rolling 1s to hit, and when we had to defend, it was 6s to defend, and so on. So he did 2 wounds to me, and I held again on a 5+ because of my banner. Archeon and the best of Gores are coming in to assist. His knights that circled around from the very beginning are seeing the sun fall down on his army, so he had to turn around and start helping out his guys. And so the knights are gone, the infantry's gone from here, so he's got to help out the guys. And there's this hero facing the halberds against the Scarbrand there. Next picture was one of my favorites. We got the Scarbrand facing the infantry with some help from his Gores and his dogs, and then you have the chivalrous knights charging in the butt. And I didn't fight them at all, just because I would receive negatives if I fought them, so I had to focus heavily on the guys in front. And so I took some wounds. Unfortunately, I can't recall if that's 6 wounds left or it's just the dice sitting there, but I know for sure I took some wounds and so on. And then here, oh, there we go, 5 wounds left. Archeon and the Bestigors turned around because I think I finished off the Pegasus Knights from a charge from the Bestigors and some Warbound boosts and spells from Archeon here. I got this unit. So my Gores turned and faced and pushed the objective to get the secondary because they really couldn't provide any more help. Scarbrand turned and faced, and the dog back here was also doing the same thing, so he did his thing. And here is the last pick of the entire thing. We got the Grail Knights are gone, and if I remember correctly, I had 4 wounds left. And it was just I mean, off the charge, yeah, you don't get the impact hits and you don't get the
they're
thrusts,
not as
but
good.
they're not as good, yeah, but they're still dishing out damage, hitting on 4s or 3s with AP1. So that would push me to a 4+ defense, and then I had my regen save. But no, it was just the sheer amount of attacks that I had was just eventually rolling those 4s with such high AP. I would eventually get some wounds through, and thankfully I did. I think on my axe, that's totally not an axe; it's a sword. It has rending, so I was able to ignore his regen save that he relied on. And also I rolled some 6s in there, so I pushed the AP up to AP5. So it's rolls, and his defense was 6 with no special saves allowed. And so yeah, there's a quote-unquote POV picture of his brave commander facing Scarbrand and so on. But yeah, that was the last picture of the tournament. And there was the final with 19-1. I certainly didn't believe it was going to turn out that way, but I think I learned from my mistakes from the first game and had to focus down the altar and the princess, let's call her, that gave out the marks and surge marks and so on and so forth. But yeah, it was I mean, he did take a fair amount. He took the barbarians and so on, but it was a better win, I'd say. But yeah, and you got any comments for that game and so on?
This is the thing, right? You play your first game and you're like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then you're like, today is the day.
Yeah.
We're doing the thing.
There you go.
And yeah, I mean, it is the thing with Bretonnia is it's a bit of a glass cannon. I mean, Bob has definitely tapped into let's give ourselves a little bit of resiliency, so we're not going to immediately get turned to this. But there is so much in that army that is, if I get the charge, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And if he just can't get the charge, or if he can't get the work done on the charge, it's over. And that's just the nature of Cap. Really well played, really well done this year.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. But either way, that's pretty much it. That's wrapping up. It's been a long time, but thank you again for watching. Check out the Facebook page. which will be a link in the bio of this picture of this video. And I know it's like old timey picture. No, of this good old YouTube video. I'll include the link for the Facebook page, the rule document that we've been looking at a few times, and I'll also include the link for Army Forge, so that you can, which is the list building application for this game and other games and so on. And would you like to any comments before we finish up there, Warner?
Thank you so much for having me. This is an absolute blast of a tournament. It might have been a wolf day, but it was not an easy one. Let me tell you.
Yes, you actually. You know what, Warner? Not to get him too excited, but he did win. He won best general. It was, and then Bob, my opponent that had the Kislev, he won best sportsmanship award. Rightfully so. He always won it.
Rightfully so.
And we should throw in some best painted there, but I'm pretty sure yourself and Bob and Sam would win every single time.
Bob would have taken that too.
He would win every single. I haven't seen all of his armies yet, but
yeah,
he would take it. But excellent. Well, thank you very much. Sorry for the long video, but that's just the way it is. It's for fun. And thank you for joining me. And from every tournament here on out, well, give it a good try. Take care.